And as someone who's in their 20s right now, this is so hard. You're bound to lose some friendships. Hey you guys, welcome back to my video. It's Dahabo, and like I said, I'm going to be more consistent from here on now and have a new video for you guys on friendships and relationships in general. So I'm so excited to have you here, and without further ado, if you are 21 or in your 20s, you're going to find this video so helpful, especially if you're struggling with friends or just kind of navigating that area. So let's get started so I can give you all the tips and tricks and everything that I've learned about friendships and relationships in my 20s and how that's kind of affected my life and changed my life a little bit. Not even a little bit. Honestly, it's changed my life a lot. And I am so sorry if the lighting in here is really bad. It's just dark and gloomy out right now. So I tried what I could, and this is as far as I got. But let's get started. Basically, I just kind of made some notes on things that I've learned about relationships and friendships in my 20s. And what I will say is, I'm still kind of navigating and learning from experience. So, by no means do I have it all figured out. I'm still getting there. But this is what I've noticed so far and what I've learned and what I wish someone had told me about relationships and friendships in general when I was kind of like getting older and when I was going into my 20s, let's say. So basically, what I've learned is that I feel like a lot of us stay friends with people who we knew from high school and middle school and whatnot. And a lot of us forget that, like, people you met through proximity are not going to be able, you're not going to able to be, you're not going to be able to sustain those friendships because you met them due to proximity and through convenience. Those relationships are probably going to struggle so much just because, let's say, when you go to college or when you graduate and whatnot, you're not as close anymore. So it feels like the relationship is already falling apart and you feel guilty about it. But you have to understand that, like, those relationships, you really have to choose each other based on your morals, your values, and shared interests rather than just like proximity. And a lot of us confuse that. Honestly, I feel like a lot of us think that just because we were so close in high school or we were so close in college, that means that like we're going to continue to be close. But a lot of people honestly don't put a lot of effort into their relationships after those times. So after high school, after college, a lot of people don't continue to invest in their relationships as much as they used to. And it's simply because you're not as close anymore. It's simply because you don't have to study together or you don't have to spend time and hang out just because you go to the same school or whatnot or have the same class, right? And I feel like a lot of us lose friendships due to that reason. But I feel like we overcomplicate it and think that, like, oh, like, we come up with excuses, is all I'm trying to say, when we don't need to. But honestly, you have to understand that once you kind of move away from that, you're bound to lose some friendships. And honestly, that just goes to show you which people were meant to be in your life and which weren't. Because I believe that I kind of came up with this theory that, like, you have to choose your friends after you've graduated and after you're in a new phase of life in your 20s, when you're kind of like navigating things, but you're not really bound to like academia or anything like that. You have to like kind of go back and choose your friends that you might have made in school, but at the end of the day, like, I have to go back and be like, you know what, this friend aligns in my life in so many different ways. Therefore, I don't mind, like, I'm like, I value this relationship and I'm willing to keep it, right? And I learned that the hard way because I feel like I tried my best to maintain relationships and friendships that honestly weren't like in the best interest, or just weren't really like serving me, or were misaligned for the longest time when I didn't need to. And I had to learn the hard way that, like, you have to both of you have to choose each other. Basically, both friends have to choose each other, and if you are unable to do that, your friendships aren't going to last. And that's something that I had to learn. You're not just losing friends just because you turn 20 and like everyone suddenly, like, or you're in your 20s and you don't know what's going on and you're navigating life, and that's just a part of it. No, you're losing friends most likely because you're not as close to them anymore in proximity. And honestly, don't shame yourself for that. Don't feel so guilty because you're not able to make time like you used to or whatnot. Like, This is your time to navigate life. And someone, and as someone who's in their 20s right now, this is so hard. Like being in your 20s and trying to navigate your own life and your own career and literally like becoming a more independent and an actual grown adult is hard on its own. And when you add the layer of friendships and relationships in general, that creates more, I feel like it just adds more added stress because you have to navigate that along with navigating your own life. And I really do think that like as long as you keep really important friends in your life, the ones that you know that are going to show up for you. And this is another very important point. This is something that I learned. I wish people talked about more because honestly, as much as you want to be a girl's girl, as much as you want to be there for everyone, and as much as you want to see the best in people, some people just are not it for you. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. And what I mean by that is you might have someone in your life who looks like they are there for you, but superficially, if that, like it's just all performatives. It's they're kind of like act like they're there for you, but in reality, this is what I've learned is the most important. I really don't care about the people who are only there when I'm sad or depressed or just going through something difficult. Like I appreciate those friends and I'm grateful for them and I'm obviously going to show up for them in time of need when they need me to be there for them. But what I've learned is that people who are there to celebrate you, the friends who show up to celebrate you and to kind of push you. And when you embark on a new life, let's say, I actually wrote this in my Substack. If you guys ever want to check it out, I wrote about having friends in your 20s and what that entails. And some people said it was like they related to it. So if you ever want to check it out, I can put my Substack um, link down below or whatever. If I don't know, like if just in case. What I was saying is a lot of people kind of think that the friends that only show up when you're feeling sad are the most important ones. But I promise you, the ones that show up when you're doing good, the ones that are there to clap for you when the room feels a little too quiet, the ones that are there to push you, to hold you accountable, to see you literally grow and become the best version of yourself, even though they might be, not growing as much as you are. Or if, let's say, if a friend is having a hard time finding a job, but you find a job and that friend still shows up to like celebrate you, those type of friends matter so much because they can put their ego aside. They can put their ego aside and be there to celebrate you and be happy for you because they know that that's what matters in that moment. And people who are not able to put their egos aside, those are actual like those are the people that are going to be holding you back, especially if you were someone who's determined and who wants to create a very successful future for yourself. If you're a young adult who wants to create a very successful future for yourself, you have to understand that those who literally never show up for you when you're working hard, when you're holding yourself accountable, when you are pushing through so that you can achieve better, so that you can grow, the people that literally question you, then cut them out ASAP. And the exit doesn't need to be loud. You don't have to make it dramatic. You don't have to make it dramatic, but you can just end that relationship right there and then. Because why is someone gonna not celebrate you? Why is someone gonna undermine your achievements and your goals and your ambitions? That person is forever gonna hold you back. I promise. Like, I used to be so naive and thinking that, like, I just used to be naive and believing that, you know what? People just want the best for me. Friends want the best for me. But reality is, a lot of people do not want the best for you. Reality is, sometimes, even though it might not be intentional, their ego gets ahead of them, if that makes sense, to a point where when they see you doing good, to them, that's a loss. And they don't want that for you. So they would rather hold you back from becoming the best version of yourself. And I honestly, this is a hard topic to touch on just because I used to be so naive about this for so long. But I had to learn that, like, not everyone who's in my life wants the best for me. And I have to keep people in my life who want the best for me. I don't want to be around. One is like, know your values and what matters to you. That's something else that's helped me figure out what friendships that I want to keep and which ones I honestly just like kind of like want to put outside of my inner circle, because I have my own inner circle, right? So I my by learning about my values and what my morals and what my interests are and how I see myself in the future, I literally have created an inner circle, and anyone not who doesn't have the same values as me, I slowly just push out of my inner circle, if that makes sense. Just because I know that down the road, even currently, we're just not going to be aligned in how we see things. And you know what? Honestly, I am not in control of how the future turns out. I am only in control of what I do in the present moment. So I am open to that person changing in the future, or whatever change that occurs and they're brought back into my life. I'm okay with that. But in the moment, if I see that that person is engaging in things that I'm not, I wouldn't want to do, or if it's things that I can be influenced by and they're not good things for me or for my health, I'm going to protect that. Like, I come first. You know what I mean? And you have to understand that you come first. Going out just because a friend is going out even though you don't want to, I don't agree with that. Like, and this is coming from someone who used to be so okay with that, right? Like, I'm going to be there for my friend, but like if you're engaging in something that's draining you and honestly not benefiting you in the slightest, it's honestly doing the opposite of that just for a friend. Like, you have to set that boundary of like, I can show up for you in different ways, but it's not going to be this way. I can show up for you in different ways, but it's not going to be this way. And you have to tell yourself that, and you have to be able to tell your friends that. And the friends that want to be with you because they like you and they want to, like, they're invested in their relationship, are not going to have any problems with that. And the ones that do, then they've made it clear. And also, that's another thing that I've learned is like sometimes we read between the lines when there is no line. Why are we reading? Like, I feel like there's two like extremes, right? There's this extreme where people are like, cut everyone out, you don't need anyone in your life, like all the friends that are, that aren't benefiting you, that aren't serving you, just cut them out. There's that extreme. And then the other extreme of like, give everyone grace, like if someone makes a mistake, it's okay, and all that. Like, how I see it and how how I'm kind of living my life and how I act in relationships, especially when people, this is what I always say. If my friends ever watch this video, I feel like I've probably mentioned it here and there, is that like if someone disrespects me once, I'm gonna give them a chance. I'm gonna tell them. That's the most important thing. I'm gonna tell that person, hey, you made me feel this way, just so that you know. And I'm gonna like confront them about it, basically, of just being like, hey, I need you to understand that your actions made me feel this way, maybe made me feel dismissed or hurtful, right? And if that friend chooses to acknowledge that and apologize and just like, never does it again, I see that as something that like strengthened our friendship, because I'm like, oh, they understood, you know what I mean? And vice versa. If a friend comes to me and is like, you hurt my feelings, I'm going to take a step back, reflect, I'm going to apologize if I did it intentionally or unintentionally. And I'm going to make sure not to repeat that again, especially if a friend is telling me I hurt their feelings. And if I like, that is my way of showing that I care about their relationship. However, if I tell someone that they hurt my feelings, disrespected me, or crossed my boundaries, and they do that again, I'm the type of person who's not going to give you a second chance. I don't believe in second chances, because I think that second chances literally just formed, like, they put the platform for a third, fourth, and fifth, or however many mistakes to be made by the other person, or for however many boundaries and disrespects, right? Because I'm like, if I told you once, I'm not going to tell you again and again and again. So my thing is, if I told you once and you do something knowing that it's going to hurt my feelings, especially if it's something similar, I'm most likely like that person's going to get pushed out of my inner circle again, just because I don't think I have the mental capacity to deal with that, if that makes sense. Like, I can't keep repeating myself, because to me it just goes to show that like that person is really not interested in strengthening or respecting my boundaries, strengthening our relationship, nor respecting my boundaries. So that is something super, super important that I've had to learn. It's something that I really try to hold myself accountable to practice, is having the ability to do something that's uncomfortable and approaching that person and being like, telling them that their actions made me feel a certain way, which is not easy. I know it's not. But by doing that, I am in a way showing that friend that like I care about their relationship enough not to just push things under the rug and kind of like not really say anything about it and one day just explode. You know what I mean? And just be like, you did this and that to me. No, I'm gonna tell you, right? Like, doesn't have to be right after, but like after I process it and really understand like if it did hurt my feelings or not, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna come back and tell that person just because I care about them and I want them to understand. And depending on how that person moves forward with that information is what I guess I use to determine if I'm gonna maintain that relationship or not. Um, so essentially, these are some of the things that I learned about friendships in my 20s. And honestly, there's so much more that I'm currently learning and understanding. And it's not easy because, like I said, in your 20s, you're already having to figure out so many things as it is. So, relationships and navigating that is just like another layer of already like such a high, like such a pile of stuff, right? But I feel like understanding these things early on is so important, just because, just so that you don't put so much pressure on yourself to maintain all the relationships that you had when you were in your teens or like early 20s or whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, some relationships are going to fade, but what you need to understand is how to figure out which ones that you want to keep and which ones are aligned with you and your future. That's what I've learned, and hopefully that helped any of you guys. And let me know if you like these type of videos. And yeah, and I'm so sorry the lighting was so bad. Hopefully my next video will be better.